it made. Always looking for that renegade. I calls it like I sees it. A spade is a spade. A good man is a thing of yesterday. Yeah. They don't want them a good man.
It's been the month.
You're restarting it, eh?
Instead of turning down the volume, I restarted the song.
You were like
But
serenading me too during that.
I was. Well, you know what? It's been a month, so I made a mistake. Everyone's gonna have to
Yeah.
just live with it. So here we
Completely
are.
blew the intro.
Blew it completely. I thought I was all gonna be cool at it and just fucked it. Um, Today's June 8th. We've been off for 4 or 5 weeks, my friend.
Yeah, four,
That
I think, but maybe it's five.
I think it's four missed podcasts. That totally my fault this time. I've been having some health problems and couldn't do them. Um,
As opposed to last time when it was mine.
it's always been your fault. So this one time it's my fault. But I decided it because it was my only time I had to do it big to go "Bleh," and miss a whole month.
Right.
It's no one's fault. It's the world's fault. It's circumstances. It's
Yeah, it
let's
just
blame
happened.
Germany.
Well, you weren't feeling well, but
I
you're better
was
now.
not. I was not
You
feeling
what?
well. I said let's blame Germany. Um, I wasn't feeling well. I'm not back 1,000,000%, but I'm
Uh,
back a long ways. I'm happy to be feeling better. I got a haircut. I ready
yeah,
to
you do.
roll. I haven't talked to you in a month, so it's good to see you. Um, Miss
No, I kept saying, "Hey, give me a call," but you were basically in a delusional state due to a high fever.
I was in a
And
fever
I
dream.
just want to know before we go any further, have you ever been at 1,000,000%? Because that would be like pretty amazing. You're like, I'm not
Never,
at 1,000,000%.
never been at 1,000,000%. I've been like 996,000%, but never a million. I don't think I've
I
ever
think I was 1,000,000% once when I was at 1,000,000% once when I was in Vegas.
yeah, 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 yeah. Let's put it. I know a couple times where I thought I was at 1,000,000%, but that might be
Right.
chemically induced. I'm not sure, but the
Right.
it's been yeah. I was in the fever dream. I'd never had that before. I had a fever for so long. I couldn't tell reality from dreams. I couldn't tell what was going on. I had some people in my life that were close to me, including my wife, very, very worried about me. Um, and we had some other
Well, she was
difficult.
in England for half of it.
She was. I mean, she had her dream trip planned to England and France that her kids have spent like 8 months planning. And they were like, "We're not going, Dad." Like, and Sean, like, "We can't go. We can't leave you." And I was just like, "Fuck you, you're not going." And like, in my fever
Right.
state, as sick as I was, I just was like faking it. I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine." I'm just like, "Don't let me fall down before you guys pull out of the driveway." That's all. Um, but I was.
That's very stoic of you.
It was very stoic. I mean, I just I couldn't steal it from her. Now listen, she had a great trip. She worried about me some, but they had a fantastic trip. And I know you're from England, but it was her first time being there, and she absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, good.
A
You
pretty
know, you
cool
kept
place.
reminding me when you kept saying feverish dream. It keeps reminding me of the Tragically Hip song. Do you know the song? I had a feverish
Oh
dream
yes, that's
of
right.
revenge. Yeah,
That's right. I never
because he
thought.
got bit by the hornets.
Yeah, we were ahead by a century.
That's right. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite songs by them.
Yeah, I had a feverish dream. So you had some feverish dreams, but you're past it now.
I'm past it now. I'm still on antibiotics for a while, seeing the doctors every week, seeing the nurses every other day. I got a whole team of people trying to keep me. I'm like the $6 million man, just trying to keep me up and moving. But
Hmm.
that's okay. The rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated.
I mean, the $6 million man, what is that from this like the 70s, maybe the 80s? They'd be like the $100 million man, or probably $1 billion man
Six
now.
billion dollar man, probably.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think with the operations I've had, I'm probably $1 million man. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
God. I said that to you at one point. I said, thank God for free healthcare.
Thank God. I
Yeah.
let's thank God. Thank you, God. Um,
Thank God.
so you're here, you're in your office, you're got a
I
haircut,
am here.
wearing a pink shirt, you look fantastic. I'm wearing a
Thanks.
shirt
Yeah.
that says
Thank you.
California. I was thinking about you when I put it on because I know you used to be a California kid.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
I like wearing sweaters and looking more stoic for my podcast, but it's too hot, so I had to just go a little bit easy breezy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't know what to think of this fact. I kind of, was giving you a hard time when you had Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, but now he's my quarterback, so I don't
I
know
know.
what to do
I
about
know.
that. I got mixed,
Justin Fields and Russell Wilson both gone. One of
gone,
them goes to the Jets. One goes to the Giants, which is crazy.
and I got Aaron
Justin Fields
Rodgers.
is now my quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers is yours.
Isn't that wild? I mean,
Yeah, bizarre.
if you gave me Aaron Rodgers 10 years ago, I would be ecstatic.
Of
Uh,
course.
Aaron Rodgers now,
I mean,
I don't know.
he threw 28 he threw 28 touchdowns and 11 INTs last year. He didn't have a terrible year by any stretch of the imagination. I think Russell Wilson had a pretty rough season too. So
Listen, and the
I don't
fact
know.
that we signed DK Metcalf, I mean, that could be
Yeah,
huge.
yeah,
That guy's one of the best receivers in the league. So,
no
um,
doubt.
it'll be exciting anyway. It'll be exciting anyway. We'll see what happens.
Well,
But that's for
we'll
another
see.
day. Today
It
we have a new
is.
topic to talk about. I guess it's stoicism. Is that how you would say that word? Stoic?
Stoicism.
I was saying
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
stoicism, but it's the kind of the act of being stoic. Um,
That's right.
do you have a definition of the word for me?
I do. I do. And it is an old word. I mean, it's like third century BC. So it's like 2,300 years old.
Hmm.
So we're going old school
Wow.
today.
Okay, let's hear it.
And it came up because I was being somewhat stoic at work. Anyway, it's
You're a hero.
so as these things do, they just kind of metamorphosize. We were struggling for a topic while you were sick too. That one didn't help either. Plus you were sick, so that didn't, and you were having feverish dreams, so that wouldn't have
That's
made for a good.
that
It
should
could
have
have been
been
interesting,
that
but
should have been the topic. Feverish dreams.
yeah. Okay, here we go. It's a noun, obviously, stoicism. The endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. And it goes on. You were going through that a little bit. You were enduring pain and hardship, and I don't think you were complaining too much, at least not to me or
I wasn't.
others.
I wasn't.
It's kind of a very male thing to do, but we'll get into that later.
Yep.
Stoicism is an ancient Greek school of philosophy founded at Athens by Zeno of Citium. The school taught that virtue, the highest good, is based on knowledge. The wise live in harmony with the divine reason that governs nature and are indifferent to the vicissitudes of fortune and to pleasure and pain.
Oh, pleasure and pain. Interesting. Interesting. So they just stand stoic regardless.
They're indifferent. Yes, they're indifferent. So that they don't delve into the worlds of pleasure and pain. They kind of just fly down the middle.
Just stay kind of cool, calm, and collected. They just
Yeah, basically.
hold
Yeah.
their
So in other words, like don't hit the pills and the booze because that's, you're looking
right.
for pleasure, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I looked up a stoic is a person who can withstand pain, hardship, or sorrow with a calm, unemotional attitude. They're known for
Yeah.
resilience, self-control, ability to accept what they cannot change. It's also
Yeah.
a philosophical school of thought that emphasizes virtue, wisdom, and living in accordance with nature.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think that the word has a negative association though in a lot of ways. I think that it has this kind of idea that you're like very unemotional, doesn't
Yes,
it?
cold and uncaring and unfeeling. Yeah, for sure.
Right. But I think the reality of it is it's more that you're grounded.
Yeah, I think we all need a stoic person in our life. I don't think a lot of us have one, but it would be nice if you had a patriarch or a matriarch, like the leader of maybe like most families kind of a head of a family, like, grandmothers or grandfathers. It'd be nice if you had someone that
Hmm.
was stoic, that kept
Hmm.
calm and kept things in order and kept us, I think it's got a positive, uh, I don't know, meaning to it, if depending. I think I'd like to have a stoic
I
person in my
think that
life.
yeah. Do you feel like that you would like to be more stoic?
Absolutely. Now, I've been thinking about it since we brought up the subject. There's been times in my life where I have been stoic. I talked about that with my wife, and because I said, do you ever think of me as being stoic?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Absolutely." She said, "When your mom
Yeah.
committed suicide, you definitely were stoic. When everyone else was losing it, you held it together. And I did. And then my dad, at the same exact time,
Mm.
walked away from the business and left everything on my plate, and I handled it all. I just and I at least looked calm. Kept me calm. So she just said you were definitely being stoic back then. Now later on, where when things kind of got past all that, I did break down. But
Right.
I was stoic
Well, I
for a
was going to
while
say,
while it was needed.
So the question is, was it stoicism or was it just sort of like, I'm just going to put this over here in a box for a while and I'll try to deal with that
I
later?
guess it's that temporary stoicism. I don't know if that's a thing. Like,
Temporary,
well, I can't say
temporary stoicism.
I'm a stoic man that's always stoic because I'm not. Um,
No,
but you know
no.
who is stoic in a lot of ways is my wife. I mean, she's put up with a lot from me and a lot of bullshit, and she basically holds it together. She doesn't get too wound up.
Yeah. So let's just go, we'll go over the key principles of Stoicism because I think it will probably help us understand it a little better.
Okay?
According to what I read, there's five. So the first one is focus on what you can control. So Stoics believe that while we cannot control external events like other people's actions, the weather, or even fate, we do have absolute control over our own thoughts, beliefs, and responses. So this distinction empowers us to maintain inner peace regardless of circumstance. And I think that this one is a really big one. And I think that for many people, and I know that this would include you and it includes me to certainly to agree, but when we worry a lot about what other people think of us, we aren't being very stoic.
We
We're
aren't.
kind of letting, right, we're letting other external things get the better of us.
Yes.
So that's definitely one for I think most people to work on. But number two is live according to nature and reason. You just mentioned that in the definition. It teaches that the universe is orderly and rational. Rational. This part's a little I struggle with a bit. Human beings as rational creatures flourish when they live in harmony with nature. I agree that we of course flourish when we live in harmony of nature, but I'm not sure how rational we are as human beings.
I don't think we're
In fact,
rational.
I think we're at a point right now where we are in such disharmony with nature that it's actually like we're getting to like a breaking point here, I think. And we're not going to talk about, the environment and everything today, but there's certainly something to be said that we are not living in harmony with nature. So if you do, power to you, you're definitely being very stoic. Um, but virtue is the highest good. That's what one of the key principles teaches, and that true good is virtue. So living with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Those are the four pillars of Stoicism: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. And then it goes on, wealth, pleasure, or status are indifference, and they don't guarantee happiness or moral character. We've talked about that too, like, wealth and pleasure and status. They're not. The fourth point is that we embrace challenges as opportunities as a Stoic. So obstacles and adversity are seen not as misfortunes, but as necessary for growth. Each difficulty is a chance to practice virtues, build resilience, and strengthen character. And then the final one is cultivate emotional resilience. Stoicism is often misunderstood as emotionless or cold, as we just discussed, but it actually teaches how to experience emotions wisely, not to suppress them, not to be ruled by them, but it encourages calm acceptance and rational engagement with feelings.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Because I've been battling with the word since you brought it up about whether that's something you want
Hmm.
to be. Is being a stoic person something you should strive to be? I'm not sure. What do you think?
Yeah. I do. I mean, I think over over whatever the last 2,300 years, it's getting a bit of a negative rap. I think that people look at Stoic people and you think that you're cold and impersonal, but I think the reality is if you are in touch with your emotions, but you're able to sort of be rational in the face of anger without lashing out, um, various emotions that may get the better of you. I think that there's something really strong in that. And I think that there's a resilience in that that's like, um, that is kind of admirable, right? And I think just the concepts of living in according with nature, I think that I felt like that my whole life. I love nature. I love being outside. I really struggle when I go around and I see garbage everywhere and I see like I really think that uh, you know I know a few years ago what was the young girl's name who was kind of an advocate for
Oh, yes, the little 15.
Greta Thunberg.
Yes.
She got such a bad rap, but like my God, like we are really really fucking up our planet, really fucking bad. And this whole we talked about it a bit before the podcast. This whole idea that we're building these data centers in the US and this is like Trump's one of his primary objectives, like the fucking power usage on these things is insane. It is like nuclear fucking facilities times 100. It is crazy, man. We're just so I really like that, living in according with nature and reason. I like to focus on what you can control. I think, when you sort of worry about what everybody else is doing and what you just like you got to focus on your own thing. And I think that the idea of living with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, I think these are really good traits. It's hard to like say that they're not.
I agree. I agree.
So
I and
yeah,
I
I mean, I think I think stoicism is all good.
Yep, I think you're right.
I think it's good.
I think about I think it's an important thing when you have people that you care about. I think it's important to try to be like that lighthouse in the storm, like try to be somebody that that people know that when things are going wrong or if things are bad and or whatever's happened, if something bad happens that if you are a stoic person, I think your family and your friends will reach out to you because they know that you will stay calm and you'll be there to deal with the situation. I know I have people
Yeah.
like that and I'd like to think that I'm that person. But with all my illness and that, I feel like I'm not that person for my family anymore. Yeah, I've bin feeling a little bit. I said it to my wife yesterday. I said, "Remember when I used to be a man? Do you remember that?" She kind of,
Well,
but that's the way I feel.
yeah, but no.
I just feel like I don't, I'm not a person people can depend on anymore. I don't know,
Well,
the same thing.
I think yeah, but I think you saying that that's kind of like that's you kind of thinking about your past and you're kind of like reflecting on things that you haven't done and you still have a lot of shame and guilt. And I think that this, I think we've talked about this a lot, like living in the present, um, is an important thing. And I've talked about journaling and various other things, and I think there are certain practices that you can adopt on a daily basis to feel more stoic and to feel, maybe like you're, I don't know, more of a man, even though saying that seems weird because you clearly are a man. So and I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
I
know
know that
it's
you're kind of talking about sort of this idyllic image of what that is, but nobody's perfect. And so I think, um, just there are practices that we can put in place to like be more stoic on a daily basis. And I think, one of the things that we were just talking about, like just like observing how we think. Like, am I spiraling out of control because I think I'm not good enough or because somebody said something about me and I'm really fucking worrying about it? Or am I like observing my thoughts and then just kind of like staying calm and not overreacting?
right.
I mentioned it on past podcasts. Like I try to journal. I realize that I don't love writing as much as I used to. So I got a journaling app. Well, I think it actually comes with your phone if you get an iPhone. It's just called Journal. So I started using that. And well, we've done it in the past. I do, gratitudes. So I do some daily gratitudes. Um, and then I often, before bed, I reflect on anything that I may have done well in the day.
No.
And I think that that's really important in like lifting yourself up,
What happened? Maybe
right?
you just made me think of something. You and me and Shonda used to do a daily gratitude text. So
Yeah,
we got away from that. That's too bad. I used to enjoy doing that.
we did.
We should go back to
We
that.
did. We
That was
did.
cool.
I still do it.
I I,
Um,
I stopped.
so I
I'd like
think,
to get back to it.
yeah, and I think that these things are all because I think when I think of Stoicism, it's sort of like it's like being grounded. Like that's what it means to me. You said it like, oh, we all want somebody that's stoic who like in the face of calm and I think we live in a world right now that is really chaotic,
Yes.
especially right now. Like especially with everything that's going on in the US. It's hard not to get caught up in it. It kind of reminds me right now a little bit of COVID, like at the beginning of COVID, where shit was going fucking weird, and you were like, fuck, like I can't even watch the news anymore because it's fucked up.
Mm,
So I kind of, you know what I mean?
I do. I understand.
So I kind of
Relate.
feel like in a world where we're like constantly stimulated, like digital overload, social comparisons, like economic pressures, all these things, all this kind of uncertainty, like I think stoicism, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it. It's like you're calm. You're like, okay. At least I think for me and you, like I'm gonna be 57 soon. Like I've been through enough shit that I'm like worrying and freaking out, it's not gonna fucking do anything for me at this point. So why not just like stay cool about it? Um, and I'm gonna touch on another book. This is also part of why I got onto this, but I'm reading another book that kind of ties into this too. But it's like, again, I think Stoicism is like, I'm almost kind of like, and this is a Seinfeld quote, I'm like the master of my own domain. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you
Like you're just like you're calm, cool, and collected, and I'm just like this, I'm not gonna let things fucking bother me too much. I'm gonna just like it's the one day at a time. Again, I keep going back to that, and it's like, what can I do today, one day at a time, to just like keep myself even. Like, you talk about it in AA, you've been there. You don't want the highs and the lows,
no.
you know?
And you know what? And
You don't want to
honestly,
fucking get hammered and feel like, yeah, I'm so high. This is awesome.
And then the next day you're just a bag of
What's
hammers.
that?
And then the next day you feel like a bag of hammers and everything sucks. And it's just, and then you're back up drinking again.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I have actually,
Yeah.
I'm thinking as we're talking, I have definitely become more stoic the last
Hmm.
few years, where I used to lose my temper and get upset, and things would really bother me quickly. And honestly, Chris, that doesn't happen to me anymore. I just don't. Sometimes Shonda looks at me and almost feels like I'm not caring or I'm not reacting enough. But I think it's what you just said. I'm 55.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot of shit. It's just not worth it. Everything's not a huge deal to me anymore. Like it's just not the end of the world. Like she'll come up and say something, and I know she's looking for a bigger reaction from me, and I'm just like, well, okay, well, let's fix it. What is it? Like what do you want to
Yeah.
do? Like it's
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah.
fix it. It's not the end of
Yeah.
the world, you know?
Yeah.
And I have become a lot more like that. So
Yeah.
I think that's a version of stoicism. I just feel like I just and I think it comes easier with age because you've been through a lot of things. You've gained wisdom and
I
stoicism
agree.
because you know when you're younger, things seem like such a big deal, and then you realize, there's that old saying, in 50 years, who's gonna care? And you don't
Right.
you can usually say in 50 days, who's gonna care? I mean, things just don't last.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just
No.
it's just not, some things are, but most things just really aren't that important. It's just not that big a deal. And I think if you
No.
just
And I
stay calm
think,
and cool, I think it's a lot better for you and your people around you.
yeah, and look, again, I want to just like caution anybody who's listening who's trying to be more stoic. This isn't about not being emotional. It's about not allowing your emotions to get the better of you.
Right.
It
Well said.
we need to be emotional. I think I think one, I think that again with Stoicism, I think that it's gotten a negative rap because in a way I think it's like it's kind of it's kind of been associated with like toxic masculinity, with like this idea that like, it's okay to just like, be rigid in your behavior and that's okay. That's not what we're saying. It's still you still need to be able to address your emotions, but not freak out,
Absolutely. And when
right?
I was thinking about stoicism this morning, a lot of the people that came to mind were women. Um, People I know, like my mother-in-law and my wife, but then I even had thought of Jackie Onassis.
Okay.
I thought of like what she went through when her husband got
Okay.
killed and kicked out of the White House, and she was always kept her class and cool and calm. And I even thought of
Yeah.
Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people didn't like
Interesting.
Hillary Clinton, but what that woman went through, and she never let it show. I mean, she was embarrassed
Totally agree.
publicly,
Absolutely, totally agree.
and
Yeah.
I just thought when there's people like Rosa Parks, there's all kinds of women. So it's definitely not a masculine thing. There's definitely a lot.
No.
I think
No,
it's,
those are great examples. I mean,
yeah, I think it's equal on
we
both.
talked about, yeah, well, no, those are great examples. I mean, we talked about John Wayne and Clint Eastwood because I think cowboys and westerns, like they have this very stoic kind of like,
Yes.
um, association. But those are great examples. There's no question about it. I've
Yeah,
got some great quotes
I came up immediately with Clint
as well.
Eastwood because Clint Eastwood was my hero, and I love westerns. And I always remember Unforgiven. There was this scene where they talked about when they were in a gunfight. They said the guy that wins the gunfight is the guy that stands there calmly, coolly, and aims and takes the shots. It doesn't matter how many people he's up against, you know. And Clint Eastwood
Right.
always stayed cool, with Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, all those ones. I know it's fiction, I know it's bullshit, but
Yeah, yeah.
as a young man, he just like, wow, like imagine being this cool, like this calm over everything, like, um, but
Right.
it's fictional, and I like John Wayne too, but like, I think of Martin Luther King. I mean, what he went through, and he always kept his character, kept his values, no matter what they said to him, no matter how they treated him. He always stood up there and knew that he was worth what he was worth.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
But then, we're talking about today.
Unbelievable.
Something happened this week, and I'm sorry if I'm diverging a little bit. I know I always get a little bit off, but I was so upset this week when I heard at the start of Pride Month that Donald Trump took the name off the American ship. There was an American warship that was called the Milk after Harvey Milk. And Harvey
Oh
Milk,
yeah, 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 yeah.
Harvey Milk, I mean, Sean Penn played him in a movie, but Harvey Milk was a guy
Yeah.
that was on a submarine. He was a gay man. They kicked him off because he was gay. They treated him terribly. He became a leader and a spokesman for the gay community, and then they killed him. But so then, out of respect to him, they put his name on
Yeah.
a warship. So at the start of Pride Month this month, Donald Trump takes his name off of that ship. And I'm just like, what a piece of shit. What a piece of shit to do that.
He's a piece of garbage.
He
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're putting
He's
old
just turning
Confederate
back the clock.
they're putting old Confederate generals' names back on things, people that were terrible people, and then good people, they're taking their names off stuff. And it's just like it, when someone comes to me and says,
Yeah.
"Oh, I know Donald Trump does this and that, but he is good." No, I'm dumb. I don't want to hear it. You're talking to the wrong person. Don't
No.
don't start a conversation
No.
with me about the virtues of Donald Trump. He's a piece of shit.
No.
That's my opinion.
He's toxic
We
and,
can stop there. We don't have to go
yeah.
further on it, but I just
No.
bring that up because it was
No.
bothering me a lot when I heard that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not let our emotions get the best of us here and panic, but
Let's stay stoic.
yeah, it's bad. He's not very stoic at all, and I don't think he is living in accordance with nature and in harmony or anything. So I do have some great quotes, though.
Okay, I'd like to hear them. And I got some examples
I'm
I
gonna
want
give you
to give too.
some. So if we want to go back briefly to the history of Stoicism, we'll do a little history lesson here. So it was Stoicism was
Flounded?
founded, founded, yeah, in early third century by Zeno of Citium. Okay, which
Ah,
is
Zeno.
interesting. Zeno, Citium is where he lived. Zeno was his name, but um, it's Stoicism is comes from the word stoa poikile, which means painted porch. So stoa is a step, and a poikile it was was all the decorations. So it was the painted porch, and stoa, meaning step, is where Stoicism comes from.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and so there was not a lot of Zeno's words were written down. So a lot of his philosophies were adopted by Marcus Aurelius, who became the emperor of Rome and wrote the famous book Meditations, which I think I've recommended on our podcast
You
before, and
have.
it is excellent. It is excellent. A lot of great quotes, but I'll read a few of them that really hit home for me. So, on inner peace, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Wow.
Marcus Aurelius.
Wow. I like
Yeah.
that.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength.
These are all out of
It's a
meditation.
good one too.
Wow.
Yeah. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one.
Holy shit. These are unbelievable.
Huh?
If you could just live by a few of these.
Everything we Oh my God. The whole book like literally you could quote like half the book, man. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth.
Yep, absolutely. All depends on your point of view.
Choose, totally. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been.
Yeah, it's almost too much to take in at once. It's
Here's
incredible.
the last one, and this here's I'll give you this one ties into one that you mention all the time. It's not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the get busy living or get busy dying, right? It's basically like the same thing.
It is, and I'll tell you, I said that quote on one of our podcasts, and I had a couple people come up to me and say that blew their mind. Like it changed their way they looked at things. Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
I think of that
You
quote.
must build up your life. Yeah.
No, I was just thinking there's a quote.
Here's the last one.
Okay,
Yeah.
go
You
ahead.
must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible, and no one can keep you from this.
All those quotes really make you really think about how you are really in control of your own life by just your own thoughts. It's the way you look at things, the way I mean, you really are.
100%.
Um,
Oh, totally.
it made me, we're big fans of the play Hamilton. We've watched it a lot, and there's a line in that George
Mhm.
Washington says, he says, he says, dying is easy, living is harder. And I always think that's true. And I
Of
said that on
course.
a podcast not long ago to my wife said it to me one time. I'm like, I would die for you. How can you say I don't love you? She goes, yeah, you die for me. Why don't you try living for me? And it just
Yeah.
it took me right out of my
Boom,
fucking
boom.
shoes, man. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like, it's easy to say you die for
Yeah,
somebody. I'd probably die for you I don't know. But living for someone takes a lot more work, you know? Um,
it does. It does.
and being stoic could be
And
a big
it's
part of it.
well, yeah, and look, I think he also reflects on like, if this was your like live each day like it was your last. That's I think is his philosophy is like live each day like it's your last day. And that's kind of a weird thing because I think like in a lot of people's minds it's like, well, if it's my last day, I'm not going to go to work. I'm not going to, I'm just going to like whatever, I'm going to go to the beach or and so you can't really, but I think it's philosophically it's just like be true to yourself, be loving, be kind, be in communion with the earth, respect nature and just live like, as a good human being. I think that that's kind of like the philosophy. It's like just get up and try to do your best every day.
No, that's well said. When you say live each day like it's your last, you're right. Like, so that when you get up, yeah, if you're going to work, do your job well. If you got a wife or a
Yeah,
mate, be loving, be kind, do something
right.
so if that was so say you don't get home that day, say you have a car accident and you're dead, God forbid, at least that person's last memory of you was that, oh, they gave me a kiss this morning, they told me they loved me this morning, they did the dishes for me
Absolutely.
this morning. That's
Yeah,
what you want.
yeah,
You know, we used to,
yeah,
my wife and I live by an old thing that people have done for a long time. When we did it for a long time was never to go to bed mad. Because it's just
right.
not worth it. It don't like, if you don't go to bed angry at the person you love, um, it's
Yeah,
just not worth it. The stupid little things that we fight about, and you hear people in real life. I know one that I won't repeat because it's not my story to repeat, but there's someone I know very well, family member, and their last thoughts, their last actions with their mate was terrible, and that person died really quickly, and they've never really forgiven themselves for what they did. And I actually know two situations
well,
like that, and it's
yeah.
not good. It's
Uh,
not a good way to live.
No, and this is all, yeah, and look, people will forget and forgive and whatever, but this is all tying into like just sort of in the Stoic sense of like being in touch with your emotions and kind of being, not overreacting. So just as you're saying, don't go to bed angry or don't like if there's something going on and you're in touch with your emotions, you're kind of in control of them. You don't storm off in anger and then get in a car accident and never come home that night. Like it's just,
Right.
it's just like what can I do as part of my daily routine and daily practices? What can I do to be more stoic in the sense that I am following these kind of, these virtues, these
Well, a stoic
qualities.
person is not going to storm off and not going to drive off and is not going to give their partner the silent treatment
Exactly.
for 2 days because it's just not what a stoic person would do. So I
Yeah.
think stoicism is a very,
Yeah.
very positive thing. I know
Yeah.
our podcast is getting on, so there's a couple things I just wanted to bring up quickly. I looked up some real, and I think it helps us think more about the word. I looked up some examples of Stoic people in history and fictional that I thought
Hmm.
were interesting.
Yeah.
So a lot of the true people that when I look this up, a lot of the people were like older people, like from a long time ago. Like like Marcus Aurelius was popped up the first, and then there was a bunch of Russians, and one was Zeno of Citium, which is funny you brought that up. I found him as
Yeah.
well. But then
Yeah.
James
Yeah.
Stockdale, a U.S. Navy pilot who used his stoicism to survive as a POW in Vietnam, a very famous one. Um, but then
Okay.
Socrates drank hemlock
Hmm.
calmly, refusing to flee Athens, accepting his unjust execution with dignity, which was just an amazing thing.
Mm.
Um, Admiral Yi Sun Yin led Korea's navy against impossible odds with unshakable discipline, even after his torture and demotion. George Washington at Valley Forge endured a brutal winter, keeping morale high despite everyone deserting him. Napoleon's exile remained composed in exile on St. Helena, writing memoirs instead of despairing. Um,
Hmm. Of
Nelson Mandela, who always comes up with us, but I thought of him even before I looked
course.
him up. I mean, 27 years in jail
Right.
without any bitterness, and then emerged to lead South Africa peacefully. Unbelievable. Um,
Yeah.
but then I thought there were some really neat fictional ones. Atticus Finch from
Yeah.
Killing Mockingbird displays calm resilience and
Yeah.
moral courage. Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek often embodies
Right.
stoic leadership and rationality. And here was my favorite: Batman trains his mind and body, endured suffering without complaint. Um, Dumbledore
Right.
from Harry Potter calmly accepts hardships and wisdoms. Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Game faces terror with stoic resolve. I mean, there's just some very cool ones that I thought were funny. Um, but you know what?
Yeah. Perfect.
But good people, good examples of people that did show stoicism in faces of all kinds
Yeah.
of negativity and hardship. And I don't think sometimes I think we're getting soft because not that wars don't make you great. I get that. But when you think
No.
of
Worse for
some
sure.
of the people, what some people endured during wartime, we can't even imagine, Chris. We can't even imagine it. What we
No.
consider
No,
a
God, no.
hard day, we can't even begin to understand it. Think of the men
No.
that stormed the beach on D-Day. I mean, they just walked,
Yeah.
just hails of bullets, just Gatling guns mowing them down, and they just kept moving forward. How do you do that?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy. Like those are great examples, and I think it's great to offer examples so that people can sort of like pick somebody that they think is a hero of theirs. And I think that talking about war. Yeah, you want to talk about gratitude. If you want to have some gratitude, just wake up in the morning and say, "Thank God I'm not at war." Like,
Right.
that's just like I can't imagine. And
And thank God for
I
thank God for the men that fought to keep us free. I mean, I know I'm
yeah,
not supposed to bring up
yeah,
Hitler, but I mean, Hitler almost ruled the whole world. I mean, except for some brave men
you
that
and
stood
your
up to him. I know you don't. I know there's not a podcast.
absolutely,
There's no chivalrous guy podcast if I don't bring up Hitler.
please, no. I've got just an add-on too. Like these are daily virtues for the modern Stoic man. Okay, the
Yep.
list. Self-discipline, self-discipline. So again, doing what is right over what is easy or pleasurable. Patience, honesty, humility, gratitude, resilience, mindfulness, responsibility, detachment. And that's detachment isn't detachment as in, hey, I'm gonna go over in the corner and fucking not talk to anybody. Detachment's letting go of the need to control other people or outcomes. Like you just like shit happens kind of thing.
Right.
Silence, like knowing when to speak and when to listen, compassion, forgiveness, endurance through hardship, focus, I think is a good one too. Like it's like let me decide on what my attention should be put towards today and focus on that. Equanimity, I think that that is just like that's kind of like to me that's one of the defining things. It's like staying emotionally grounded when you're both happy and sad. So you're like, okay, I'm it's okay to cry and it's okay to laugh and be good, but don't like let it get the better of you, I guess. And then purposefulness, living each day with intention, clarity, and alignment to your values. I think that those are like, nobody's expecting you to do it perfectly every day, but if you can do that, like, at least 10 out of 15, I think you're going to be,
Well,
feeling pretty good about yourself,
you're right. As long as you're making an effort,
right?
you're trying, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it can be life changing. I think it's an important, these virtues that you talk about a lot during a lot of our podcasts. These,
Yeah.
I don't follow them like I should, but I think they're important. I think that if I listened to you more and followed them more and tried harder, I think my life would be better for it. I really do. I really do. Um, Bad on me for
I
not doing
think the
that.
best way to do it is Yeah, and I think the best way to do it is to write them down or to journal. Like just like, okay, what can I do? Like write down in the morning, what can I do today to be the best person I can be? And
Right.
just write five things, something. I don't know. Be honest, be kind, help others, help myself, and eat well. And if you go for it, and then at the end of the day, you come back and you go, hey, how did I do here? Okay, I got 4 out of 5. Fucking A.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You
Two out of
know?
five. If you get 2 out of 5, it's better than zero. It's at least
Fuck,
you
who cares?
tried.
1 out of 5. Again, it's like, or 0 out of 5. If you even did zero, shit, I didn't do so well today. It's like, okay, I'll
But
try again tomorrow.
at least you paid attention. At least you noticed it and you try again. Exactly. Exactly. I agree
I
100%.
mean, dude, you've been to AA, you've been to NA. You know the saying. I mean, I don't. I'm not a participating member at this point. I don't go, for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's not easy to get to meetings, and I'm not making excuses. But what I do every day is I do say the Serenity Prayer,
Yes.
and I think it's important, right?
I have it taped on the door
God grant
now
me
in the
this.
kitchen.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to
Wisdom
know
to
the
know the
difference.
difference. Absolutely.
And I think if you try to follow that philosophy every day and you do a little bit of journaling, you kind of don't worry about what people think too much, and you follow some of those virtues, you'll be doing all right.
Yeah, the Serenity Prayer is one of the best pieces of literature, whatever, ever written, and it has nothing to do with being an addict. It's nothing to do with being an addict. It's just an
No, it's just
amazing
a life. It's a
quote.
lifestyle.
And I've seen that quote since I was a kid because my dad was an alcoholic and he went to, AA a couple times over when I was a kid. And I remember that prayer being up on our kitchen wall. I didn't know much about it,
Nice.
but I remember reading it and thinking, wow,
Yeah.
like even as a kid. Um, but
Even, yeah, like
it's
the
the
first line, accept accept the things you cannot change,
right. That's a big one.
right?
If you can't change it,
It's
then
a big one.
move on. Like there's nothing you can do. Like why?
Yeah.
It's like pushing
What am I
water
doing?
uphill.
Like
You can't
sitting in
do it.
fear. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think this has been a great podcast, Chris. Christ? Is that your name, Chris? Chris.
Christ. You can Christ. Christ. It's
Christ.
pronounced Christ.
Um, I was hoping that today was a bit good one because we've been off, and you know what? It hasn't let me down. It's been very good. Mostly led by you today, which I appreciate. I
No problem.
every time we do one of these, I love doing them because of what I learned from them. I
Hmm.
I never go into one of our podcasts thinking, "Oh, I'm going to teach the world something today." I always look at it as I'm going to learn something today. I'm going to discuss something and see if I can come to a better understanding of it. And that's what we are here to do. I think we're here to help each other
Yeah.
understand things and help other people maybe, maybe if they hear one thing we said and they look at it and say, I'm going to think about that for a minute, and maybe it changes the way they look at things a little
Yeah.
bit. I think that's what we're trying to accomplish. And I think it's good. I think we did a good job today. I think you did a good job today. Um, I've
Thank
missed
you.
you
You
the
too.
last month. I've missed podcasting. We'll do it. We won't take another month off. We're for a while anyway. We'll be here next week. Um, we'll
Yeah.
come up with some new subjects, and hopefully we can maybe get a guest or two on. We've been talking about that for a while. I've been trying to line up a couple that I'm trying to get to come in the line, but regardless, it's okay if it's just you and me. Um, I don't
Yeah.
have any recommendations this week. Obviously, I think
Well, I've
meditation
got
I
two.
think is a good one.
I've got two. Yeah. So I'll
Okay,
do one for you and one for me.
perfect.
So I'll recommend on behalf of you Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I quoted from it. Excellent. Very. It's like it's not like it's just it's a collection of his thoughts. So
Yes,
you can read 2 pages and it doesn't matter, right? So great. But this is what started it for me. So
The Let
it's
Them
called
Theory by Mel Robbins.
the the let them theory. Yeah. So Mel Robbins, I don't know, do you know Mel Robbins?
I do not.
Best-selling author, expert on mindset motivation. She's a motivational speaker. Okay.
Okay.
At age 41, she was $800,000 in debt.
Wow.
Now I don't know how old she is. I don't know how old she is now. She's in her 50s. I guarantee she's not in debt, not even close. She was like the number one public speaker in the world for a little while. She has sold millions of books. This book is available in 41 languages. She empowers listeners. She's got one of the top ranked podcasts in the world. It's broadcast in 194 countries every day. Um, she's got clients for motivational speaking, Starbucks, JP Morgan, LinkedIn, Headspace. Like she has like she's kind of like she's just a normal everyday person, but this book is basically the let them let me theory. So it's like, okay, let other people do what they're gonna do. I don't care, and let me do what I want to do. So just the whole philosophy is like, if you want to you know, do whatever it is you're doing. I'm not going to be upset by it because it's your choice. What I can do is let me not be upset by it, basically, and I'm just going to do my thing so that it makes me feel okay with it all. It's a great book. I'm not done. I'm like a third of the way through, but I would recommend it to anyone.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
and it ties in. She touches on Stoicism at the beginning of it. So that's what I read that bit about Stoicism, and then about 10 days later, I was like, we should do Stoicism.
Excellent. Well, I
So there you
will,
go.
I will, I'm going to start with meditations. I'm going to ask for that for Father's Day,
Yeah,
but I'll look into that to let them
yeah,
think by
cool.
Mel Robbins. Well, she sounds like a pretty
It's
cool
great.
person. I would say she's not in debt
She
anymore.
is. Yeah, she's got a great podcast too. If you want to listen. No, she's
I'll,
not in debt anymore.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you have
All right, brother.
a good rest of your Sunday. Um, and
I will.
I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Great to see you.
You too. Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother.
See ya.
Bye.
got it made. Always looking for that renegade. I calls it like I sees it. A spade is a spade. A good man is a thing of yesterday.
See ya.
See you, brother. Bye.
Bye.